there's this humbleness about us too, like we don't want people to carry our burden. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, why do I want my family to suffer if I'm
Yeah.
suffering? Why do I need to tell other people about my problems
Right.
when it's so heavy? And I don't want other people to carry my burden. So that's an add on to the stigma, the shame, all of that. And then the piece of
It's for all of my people who be fighting depression. When you think about your life, you can't help but to stress it. You're counting all your failures, but never counting your blessings. I've been feeling lost and I need a sense of direction. Cover up my pain with them bottles and prescriptions. It don't ever work, the next day wonder why.
Video here.
it's
It's just
perfect. Yeah, this is how I would ever imagine it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, nothing's very complicated, and it is just what it is. You'll hear like the kids running around as we kind of
Oh
do our
yeah, no
thing.
worries. Yeah.
Um, and we're working on eventually getting a place too.
Yeah.
Just because because it is my house. It gets weird when we do like guests and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But of course, like you're a family friend, and
Mhm.
Barb and them really well. So of course, like more than happy to have you. But then anytime, like if we're talking about like guests that bitch because a lot of the time, like we're the first time meeting these people on the podcast is like that day.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
like we're like doing vibe checks. We don't really know them, and this is also our personal place
I
of residence.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally understand. Couple even when like go talk with your clients, huh?
yeah,
Like when I drive my clients around for a long time, even like get like I need to cleanse my car, do stuff like that.
yeah.
Because you never know who you're taking with you. Like extra spirits or whatever.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
believe in
exactly.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn, girl, that's
Yeah.
true. I don't
Yeah.
even be thinking that. See,
Mhm.
I just let anyone walk into my apartment, and now I got the.
You don't know what they be coming
Yeah.
with them. Yeah,
I-
especially if you're working with folks who are homeless for a long time.
Oh, I don't let homeless into my home.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
No, 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 no,
Or,
no, no.
or like
I mean,
they're
friends.
they face a lot of trauma and they haven't dealt with it. They carry a lot of other baggages with them
Yeah.
that we cannot see, like spiritually, or people can say energy or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if we're like sensitive to those things, then we could feel it right
How do
away.
you know if you're sensitive to those things?
Well,
Or
I
you're
mean,
just sensitive.
yeah, like so if you feel like things are happening and you can't control it and stuff like that, then you're gonna know like, okay, well then for me I need to do some cleansing, right, of some type, right? Or I need to reset. Some people say
You're
like a
sounding good.
reset button, stuff like that. So if you have not experienced that in your resident, then you're okay. But sometimes when things are happening, you're like, oh, like why are these things happening? It's kind of out of my control.
Okay, so sorry, y'all,
Yeah.
and I don't mean to like.
No,
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 no, no,
we
no.
love this.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
great.
Should we just intro the pod and then?
I was just
we don't
hoping that
need
you
to-
can just cut whatever she's saying
Yeah.
into paste, and then we'll work on the intro.
Yeah. We can
We'll
just
just-
keep going because
Yeah.
Edit.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but okay. So back to the soul, the shaman aspect. So something that happened. It didn't happen to me, right? It's just I feel like sometimes I have to cleanse my home because it just feels like a heavy, not even a presence, but it just feels like a heavy energy, right? So,
Yeah. So it could also be like the work that we do. And we're in front of a lot of people per day. I mean, I don't know, like in your line of work, do you see like 5 to 6 people? If you run group, you're seeing 20
oh
people.
yeah, I could
And
see up to
everyone's
50
coming,
people a
yeah.
day.
So everyone's coming in with their own energy. And sometime, depend, right? Like if we're going into work and we didn't have sleep or we're not on our A game, our energy or vibration is low, then we could be like, okay, now I'm coming home with a heavy heart. I'm coming home with things that are secondary trauma to me because I'm hearing a difficult story that I can't process. So now when I get home, I have to cleanse. I have to make sure that whatever that came with me or whatever energy that I'm carrying from others, I need to let it go. And so that it's just be me and my own energy, right? And so a lot of time so what I learned in doing this work is that if you don't know how to, because we don't learn it when we do these work, we don't learn that, oh, like I need to be protecting myself too. When I'm working with people with a lot of trauma, people with a lot of baggages, such as like, when I say baggages, doesn't mean like, oh, like they have something bad that's happening, but they may be having a lot of difficult things that have happened to them and they're carrying those things with them. How do we like protect ourselves so that we don't take on the impact as well, and sometimes we call it in the clinical term, like, oh, we get secondary trauma. How do we resolve that? Or how do we spend time processing it? Do we need time off? Do we get burnt out? Those things happen.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that because, like, my old co-host too, he was a firefighter, and he talked about that a lot. Where he was just like, you do like a 24-hour shift, and you're seeing dead bodies all the time, and you come across these things, and you eventually have to put up some kind of barrier and to protect yourself, right? But in the process of that kind of changes you as an individual, because then that barrier just continues to stay up as you meet people and interact with people all around you.
Yeah.
And so, like, how do you guys let go of that, like, as therapists and as professionals?
Yeah, I would say like the first couple years is probably the hardest because you're not expecting to hear things that you're hearing. Sometimes it sounds surreal, right? It sounds like you're watching a movie because it's like, how could that really happen to this human being that's in front of me, right? And I always get back to the point where I would seek like thought partners or somebody who has like an empathy partner who's also in the professional field and can like help me process that. Like, why did they tell you that part of themselves? Is it to evoke something out of you? Is it for you to be nicer to them? Is it for you to help them even more than what your job capacity is? Like, what is it, right? And sometimes you have to gauge that, or sometimes is it over exaggerated? Is it even real, right? And so then when we do those, when we start to process it in that way, like you say, sometimes it takes the human being out of us, like because we're like we have compassion for folks.
Yeah.
So we're trying to understand them in the best way possible and give them like support that they're asking and seeking, right? But sometimes it's like, oh, like this person is telling me this because they may be wanting something. And I have to like, like not take precaution, but like really gauge it. Like, okay, so maybe they're telling me this because they really want me to just take them to buy groceries. Yeah. Right? But they're giving me this long, sad story about losing their kids and not having something or something like that, right? And so for me, it's like, okay, I have to understand why they're giving me these stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's a beautiful piece, Wanda. And I think I haven't even looked at it that way. So thank you. But yeah, I think I go into it looking at it as it's such a privilege, to be on that side. And I feel like when my clients are telling me the stories or their experiences, I feel like I'm with them because they tell it with such emotion. Because when you're in that room, right, think of your own therapy session, right? You just feel, if the space has been created to feel safe, they kind of just let it out, right? And for me, I feel like, it is up to me, the clinician, to kind of bring the pieces together to paint the picture, right? But then I think just being able to walk through with the client and just to see how hard it is for them, that really helps me get into perspective of this is not about me right now. This is about them, right? And so separating myself, sometimes when a client leaves the room, I'll physically like name things to separate myself from them. If I worked with a male client, he was a man, I'm a woman. Okay, he has short hair, I have long hair. I'm wearing XYZ, he's wearing that, right? So depersonalizing myself from the situation, because when they're telling the story, I can kind of see myself walking through it, right? And so I'm just like, oh, that wasn't my story to carry. I was just walking with them.
Yeah, because like, I just, when I'm reading a book, sometimes like, or when I'm watching a movie, like, my brain just automatically like puts myself in those situations. Yeah. I'll be reading like what is that? The DSM-5. What is that? My wife Barb's a therapist too, and so it's just laying around. But if I read some kind of like the symptoms of a diagnosis, and I'm like, oh my god, I have this and I have this and I have that. So I just imagine if you guys are having people just kind of traumatized up. Maybe that's not the appropriate term, but when people are kind of expressing to you guys like their challenges, like I can just see myself in that situation and be like, oh my god, that's me too, like I have all of those and whatever else.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious that you say that, because Danny, I'm sure you did the same thing, right?
All the time.
When we first got the DSM-5, we're like, let's self-diagnose.
Okay.
Exactly.
Oh,
go ahead.
college, like I feel like that was everybody in their like first year like psychology course. First time opening up like your psychology textbook and going through all these things, and you're just kind of you're reading it and then you're reflecting on your own childhood, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like I'm so messed up, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you went to school for
Yeah, psychology as well. I mean,
too,
I
right?
flipped through the books a few times, and I was changing too.
Okay.
That's the thing. So sometimes, you know, one like diagnosis code might be different the next time. So it's always kind of a little bit confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
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 It's definitely that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, Wanda, how long have you been doing this work? Kind of, I guess, just like start us off, like how, like who you are, the work that you do, and yeah, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Sure. Well, hi everyone. Thank you for having me here at No Egg. My name is Wanda Vue, and I grew up in Minneapolis, and I lived in the Northside Projects
Woo woo.
growing up. I know, and so my a lot of my childhood experiences in the North and South Minneapolis. I went to South High, so those are
Yeah.
just kind of like
Boo.
yeah.
We need a boo button.
Tigers.
Yeah,
You know,
boo.
and those are just some of the things that really shape me who I am today, right? So I just wanted to share a little bit of that. So when I first started doing recovery work, I actually was doing. I started as a mentor staff. I was doing mentor for AAPI folks, right? Especially ones who didn't speak English, and so they were. If they spoke Hmong, I would work with them. And so when I started doing that work, eventually it led me to doing recovery work. And it started when I've been asked to take a course, and it was called Peer Recovery Support Specialist. And so at the time, it was really new to me. Like it was early, late 2018, 2019 that was introduced to me. And at that time, I was really just trying to figure out what my career was going to look like. I was changing degrees, I was changing jobs. So I was going through, like a self discovery part of me. And so I took this 1 week class. Of course, I had my own reserve feeling about it because I was like, well, I don't know if I want to work with individual in recovery because I had to deal with it like in my own personal life, and I just didn't really enjoy it, right? But it really changed my life because when I went to class, I learned how to work with individuals in recovery, including myself, right? And understanding what that looks like for everyone and how different it is for everyone too. And so it really changed the trajectory of my career, purpose work, and where I am today. And I started to utilize some of those tools on loved ones, and it worked. And so when it did work, like using motivational interviewing on them, being like a supportive loved one, and using positive affirmation with individual in recovery, how did that improve their recovery? And it worked, and I saw it over and over. And so in 2019, I was at a nonprofit, and they had asked me if I wanted to pilot a Hmong women's recovery support group. And at the time, I was kind of nervous. I'm like, who am I going to find? Like, do they even exist, right? Because at this time, we haven't heard of that yet. And so, I was actually encouraged because we had already had a Hmong men support group at that time. And they were like, hey, like, how come you're always in group with us? How come you don't have your own women's group? Like, that would be more meaningful if you have a women's group, because like I know my aunties and sisters, they're used too, and like there's nothing for them. And so these Hmong brothers were actually like encouraging me.
Shout out to the Hmong brothers,
I
man.
know,
Look at
and
that.
they're Hmong brothers in
Yeah.
recovery. At the time, there was Hmong brothers, but now the groups has grown, and there's so many other individuals there too. And
So Hmong men are great.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah, yeah.
and they care. They really do care about their Hmong sisters or
Look
their
at
their
that.
sisters, and so they had encouraged me to like start my own group, and I had brought that up, and we had piloted, and in the first year, pandemic hit, right? And we're like, no.
yeah.
So we're like in the first 9 months, right, into pandemic, right? We're like 2019, 2020, March, pandemic, right? And so we're like, how are we gonna do this? And so I started, reaching out to individuals that have been in recovery, or think people I knew that were in recovery before or had experience. And so these women were so courageous. They recruited themselves, they recruited other people they knew that were in recovery or maybe struggling in recovery. And so from there, we started doing Zoom calls at that time.
Yeah.
And so
Because that's in the midst of COVID, right?
in the
Peak
midst of COVID,
yeah.
we were doing Zoom call, and there were like 3 of us, right? And we're like, how long is it just gonna be 3 of us? I'm like, as long as there's 3 of us, that's a group.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we're laughing, joking, and then we started saying, well, who needs this kind of support group?
Yeah.
And there was such a big stigma at that time. There was a stigma because every time we try to invite people to come to group, we're like, we have this women's support group, you'll love it. And they were like, no, like, I don't want to talk about those things.
Yeah.
Or like, no, I feel like if I go, I have to tell like my personal life. And we're like, no, you don't have to share.
Can I ask, did you face women saying, oh no, I don't have a problem?
All the time.
Yeah,
Like, oh,
exactly.
like those problems are for other people.
Yeah.
Like I got my own recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, people would say that, and I'd be like, yeah. I always say like, that's so great, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Encourage them like, hey, that's so great. I'm
Perfect.
so happy you're doing well, but you know, I'm always here if you need anything, right? And so our group started growing, and we're like at 6, right? And then we're like, okay, and then we're like hit 7, we're like jumping for joy, right?
Yeah.
And then you know, we're doing groups through recovery, but you know, but what I realized during the pandemic was that a lot more people need a support group. And like we had women who've been impacted by recovery. So like they had loved ones that were using, maybe a spouse or brother, sister, or a sibling, and they came to group because they wanted to understand. They're like, I don't know why they're doing this, or I don't know why my marriage is falling apart because my partner won't stop using, you know. And it created a safe space for them to share and also like talk about anything, right? Like mental health, children, family dynamic. We were not prejudging nobody.
Yeah.
And like one of the funny stories was we had a gal that came to group and she was like, I'm freshly divorced. I'm just a mess. And then we're in group, and then one of my women that's been coming for quite some time, she's like, don't you worry, I've been divorced 3 times.
Yeah. Oh man.
And we all
gets
just
better.
laugh. We're like, that's right.
That's the funny thing, right? People have not, I don't know the statistic and I'm just making it up, but I don't think I've ever heard of anyone dying from a divorce, but you know,
Yeah, we
your
treat it
quality
like
of
it's such
life.
a-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quality of life living in or staying in an unhappy marriage. Completely worse.
Yeah.
Divorce.
That divorce, like the decline of your health, right? All sorts of stuff can happen to you while you're in a loveless marriage, right?
Yeah.
And so we're just laughing. We're like, you know, giving her encouragement, like, don't you worry, like, we're here for you. And so we're like, obviously she came like twice and she never came back, but like we hope that we made an impact in her life,
Yeah.
that she went and
Probably did.
and she understood like, hey, there's people out there that just love and care for me no matter how my circumstance look like.
And do you get that often, like where people are just rotating in, and like, do you get a lot of people rotating in and out then?
Yep, we do have turnovers, right? Folks who go to treatment and they may use us as like a like aftercare program. So like when they're released from treatment, there may not be something after, right? So like they do intense outpatient or something, they can use us as an aftercare support. So they'll continue coming to group to maintain. Some people call it AA or NA.
Yeah.
So like our support group feels or complete
Yeah.
that for them, right? Or
Yeah.
they have like court order, or they're with their justice involved, and they need to report to somebody. They
Yeah.
can use they could come to our group and use it as part of their treatment regimen.
Yeah. So you grew the program from like the 3 of you guys, like you said, which is awesome, to 7. Where's that group today? What are you guys doing today? And what
Yeah.
what does that look like today?
Yeah, so like it fluctuates, like you said. Like, there's turnovers, things happen. So where we are today is that we still have a continuous group of 10 or more, right? A core group of 10 folks that always come to group. And what we've been able to do is help these individual rebuild their lives, right? Whatever that is, like if they want to go back to school, we are a support system for them. And like, or they want to buy a house, we're here to cheer them on, and just being like a positive support system. And I always hear people say, oh man, I'm so happy I'm part of this group, support group, because I feel like if I'm down on myself, I can just reach out and all of you shower me with love and care. And that's really what we're trying to build for the community, because it does, like a lot of time, like, oh, it doesn't exist anywhere. And in the Hmong community, it's hard to exist because we don't share our problems outside the home.
Right.
Right. That's been one of the biggest thing that a lot of us struggle as grown up is, oh, you better hush if you got an issue, right? You don't
Yeah.
tell nobody but me, like the mom and dad, but maybe they don't have the correct resource or the knowledge to go and find help.
Or if for Hmong women, right, it's always 我先得,
Yeah.
right, which we perpetuate these stigmas of reaching out for help, because it's like, I don't need help, I just need patience, or I just need to do this more. And it's like, until how long?
Right. And like, there's a negative connotation with finding help, right? And like I said, like it was even so hard to recruit in the early stage women to come to support group, because they're like, well, I don't want to talk about my problems, you know? And it's
Yeah.
like, well, it's you don't have to share. You come and you listen, and maybe someone's story may help you
Yeah.
with your journey,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah.
And
I was going to ask, for the support group, is it like any wider range of issues or problems? Not specifically, just either marriage or addiction. Maybe what if it's, addicted to like gambling or something? That's
Yeah. There's all sorts of like addiction, recovery, substance use, and then they come with co-occurring issues too. Like some of them may have like mental health and use. Some of them may have mental health use and marriage issue, right? And or finance problem, or just lack of like direction.
Yeah, it's never just one thing, right? Yeah.
No, it's never one. Or some people just really need a support system because they might be the only person in Minnesota. Their family lives far, far away. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about BAM and kind of like that process of, because now like, and tell us about BAM, like, because you're not just doing women's recovery now, right? You're doing like a bunch of stuff. You were telling me about it, and I was reading it on your website. So you guys are servicing young people, which is amazing. I think like we gotta get involved with you somehow. Let me just start by saying that I'm so glad you're here. I've been trying to get Wanda on the podcast for like since we started.
Yeah.
You're such a wonderful person. The work that you do is incredible. You're such a giving person, and like. I knew your younger brother growing up, and it was funny because when I married my wife, it turned out you were like family friends with them, and like it just, I don't know, we were always like saw each other in passing. I've always heard so many great things about you and the work that you're doing, and I'm so glad you're here today. So thank you so much for coming. Like,
Thank you all.
you're freaking amazing, and like I've been wanting to do this, and like that's why when she hit me up, I hit you guys up immediately, and I was like, oh, we gotta have her on. I know we said no guests, but I've been trying to get this girl on for like years, and let's make it happen. So I guess we have to say officially, we're taking guests now, right?
Oh,
But,
yeah.
yeah. You opened the door. You kicked the door down for that.
So
yeah.
happy. Oh my goodness. Am I the first guest?
Yeah, kind of.
Of this
season.
Yeah.
For
yeah.
this new
Yeah.
season.
Yeah,
love
because
that.
we were
Thank you
kind of
guys
like
for
gun
having
ho
me.
about like not having any guests and just kind of doing our own show for a little bit, just until we find our voice and establish like what the show, what we want the show to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you hit me up, I was like, yeah, let's make it happen. Yeah.
This is kind of like what you were saying earlier, how everything is aligned, right?
Yeah.
And so I think this aligns perfectly with no eggs,
Oh,
and
yeah.
BAM aligns perfectly with what we talk about. So thank you so much for being here. It's so important to have people like you come and talk to our audience, right? So they
Yeah.
know what kind of resources are out there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so they know that we're not just talking here. We're not just sitting on
Yeah.
in Peng's basement talking
Yeah.
to each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, we're doing the work. All right?
hanging out.
I know.
We're- yeah.
You mean you're just not all fun and games?
Exactly.
We are.
I want to only be fun and games.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it turns out you have to put in work.
Yeah, exactly.
Darn
exactly.
it. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for asking me that question about how BAM came to be. But so BAM, it's been a long journey, right? I think I've been thinking about BAM for quite some time when I started doing this work, and also finding my voice in recovery work, right? I knew that there was a place that needed to be filled, and our community didn't just have that yet. But I wanted to be inclusive. I wanted to honor Hmong culture and traditions. I wanted individuals from Southeast Asia to see as a place they can come without judgment or fear of like being hurt from coming to treatment. Like some people, they're scared of that. They're scared that if I come and seek help, I'm gonna get in trouble and stuff like that. And I didn't want them to feel that way at all.
We're coming on. We're celebrating like our 50th year here in the country, right? As Hmong people, right? And you guys, as Laotian people, you guys have been here for roughly around the same amount of time, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like to think that we've been here that long and we've never really had like a dedicated program to service our community. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We have all these great things going on in our community, but like, but it goes to show like sometimes like these are the people that are the most overlooked in our community, right?
Yeah.
We always talk about how well Hmong people are doing, how like the income bracket that we're now entering in, and as we move up into the middle class. But yeah, I think we sometimes forget about when we talk about disenfranchised people, those are the people that need the most support and need the most help. And so sometimes like I realize like I don't know, when we talk about Hmong people and how well we're doing, I think that's a small amount of us that are doing this well. These are the people that need the most help. And like it's just crazy to think that we've been here this long and there's never been a program that's dedicated specifically for us.
Yeah, and I was gonna say like part of the issue itself. I mean, as you mentioned, a lot of people are afraid to make that jump, especially again in the Asian community in general. We're scared to we want to save face. We were scared of being judged. If somebody sees somebody going to a therapy session or something like that, people are going to talk. Especially in the Asian community, it's really small sometimes. And then once people start talking, all the gossiping is going to start happening. And yeah, that's just one of like the downsides of it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And would you guys say that like suffering is so silent? Right? When you're going through it, it feels like you're suffering alone because other people seem to be doing well around you, right?
Yeah.
And you look around and you're like, God, it's just me.
Yep.
I'm the problem, right? And how do you even begin to have these conversations if everyone around you, let's say our environment matters, right? Because it does. The population in North Minneapolis? I'm newer here, so
That's
I
where
don't.
we're from.
I know,
And so it's a developing area, right? And so it needs a lot of work, right? And so your environment absolutely shapes who you are. If you are, not saying that people who live in North Minneapolis are bad people, right? But it's just the resources allowed into that area or provided to them to help them get out of that situation, it's far and few, right? And the resources that are available, very limited, and it creates kind of a pressure cooker so that people feel like they have to compete against each other to get these resources, right? So it creates tension in the neighborhoods, and it creates hate, right? So to get out of it, it's so hard, right? And I don't want to perpetuate the word ghetto, right? But that's kind of what we have to get out of, right? Because ghetto isn't just a place; it's a mindset.
100%. Like I would say, like we all grew up there, like going from like the project housing. Were you in the Sumner homes too, like the red brick buildings?
Oh yeah.
Were you guys there? Were Laotian people there? Like kind of on Olsen Memorial Highway?
Yeah. My cousins was there.
Yeah. So that was just like there was an influx of Hmong people, and that's where like most of them ended up. I always say like I think there's a lot of people that live there that are just trapped in those 5 square miles.
Yeah.
They don't really get out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. They don't really see what else is out there. It is just, they never get out of that environment. And it is a mindset thing, like you said.
It definitely
100%.
is. I even have like folks tell me like, oh, Wanda, I thought like my whole life was right here. In Minneapolis, like right here, that's it. And I didn't even know that Japan existed or stuff like that until they were much older, until they're like being introduced to new environment. And so, I do think that in these central areas, there is pressure. There is folks feeling like there's not enough, right? There's food
Right.
desert. There's so many things that are happening
Right.
that are increasing the risk of substance use and mental health illness, right? But I mean, if we don't talk about it, then it almost as if it doesn't exist.
Exactly. That's why
Um,
it's so silent, suffering through all of it.
Yeah. And the one thing people always tell me about not talking about it is that they don't know how the community or how the people are going to react to them. So they rather keep it quiet
Yep.
and like deal it with alone. And I think in Southeast Asia or all Asian community, there's this humbleness about us too. You know, like we don't want people to carry our burden. Like you know, it's like, well, why do I want my family to suffer if I'm suffering?
Yeah.
Why do I need to tell other people about my problems when
Right.
it's so heavy? And I don't want other people to carry my burden. So that's an add-on to the stigma, the shame, all of that. And then the piece of like, I don't want other people to hurt with my pain. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, but you know, like we don't talk about that either. Like, oh my goodness, like
Yeah.
when you share, it's supposed to help.
Yeah.
But for a long time, even like in our community, we don't share because we don't want other folks to
Yeah.
feel our pain.
I would say like the first time like mental health kind of struck close home to me and it kind of slapped me in the face was like, you know, and I hope we can talk about this and I hope you're okay with this.
Yeah, go for
and
it.
we can delete it if you know if you're not, but like, you know,
I'm open.
your brother,
Yeah.
which is your little brother, your
Yeah.
younger brother,
Yeah.
older than me, but like he was like one of my Boy Scout leaders growing up. You know, leader is a tough word, but yeah, he was like
Nonetheless.
When you're growing
but
up,
I looked up to him.
leadership looks so you know, like could be anything.
Yeah, and but we'd see him. I'd see him periodically at Boy Scouts, and I would see him like at summer camp, and he was just. Is it okay if I say his name?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
Jack Vue, like rest in peace. But like he was like, I remember being a young kid looking up to him. He had the craziest biceps, dude. That was like my first time where I saw like some jacked Hmong dude, and like so like you
Like,
you.
did he go to Patrick Henry?
No.
Okay,
There was a different Jack. There was
Okay.
a different Jack.
Okay.
And so there was two Jacks, and it's a funny story. I don't. Did you know his nickname? Do you know what we called him back in the day?
No, I don't.
So there was two Jack Vues at the time,
Okay.
and so one of them was Jack Butterfree, and so your brother was Jack Moe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and so, so it's like AIDS, you know, like yeah. So Jack Moe, yeah. So, but he was just the funniest guy, greatest guy, and like me being a young person, like he had this like aura about him that just drew you to him. Funny,
Yeah.
you know. He was at camp, 100 degrees. In khaki suit, full Dickie khaki suit
Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
and he
A
always
suit?
like the Dickie suit.
It's the whole get up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
the khaki.
the outfit.
Oh,
Yeah, the khaki outfit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he always had like a little like piece of grass in his mouth. I just like it's ingrained in my head.
Oh
like
my
this is what I
goodness.
saw him, and like yeah, the dude was like the most like jack dude as a kid, and I remember looking up to him like, oh, and he would always be like, "Pang, look at this, feel this," you know. And so like he was like
hilarious.
super charismatic.
Yeah.
He's what inspired Pang to
Yeah,
work
yeah,
on those
yeah,
videos.
definitely, 100%,
Like,
100%.
there's another buff Hmong dude.
Yeah, and that was like when I was little, so I was just like, that was before I even worked out, so it like inspired me to work out because I think he was like 3 or 4 years older than me.
Yeah.
But it was like really cool to see. But you know, eventually we all kind of grew up, and everybody kind of went their separate ways, and you know, you don't hear from people for a long time. But then I heard that you know, he ended up getting sick and ended up you know, committing suicide.
Yeah.
And then you know, then I heard that it was because he had schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And so that was like my first time like, oh, like how can that be? Like this very charismatic, lovable guy. Everybody adored him.
Yeah.
Like how was that like the case, you know? And so that was like my first time ever even thinking about like mental health. I mean, like, and thinking about like, especially when it came to like Hmong people and never ever having it hit so close to home, like, and that was, what year was that?
2010.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing him up. Like, I love talking about my brother Jack.
Yeah.
He's such an inspiration.
Yeah.
I think that during that time in 2010, I was in my early 20s, still going to college, and it's almost as if I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Like, I've never heard of schizophrenia.
Yeah.
When I got the packet from the psychologist, it was just a big packet describing what schizophrenia is. And no one understood, because, you know, the thing about mental health is that most time people are still very much themselves. And when the mental health piece does evolve, or they spiral, people call it spiral out, we're expecting them to rebound quickly. We're expecting them to go back to normalcy. And we just didn't understand how to advocate for him when he was going through his episodes, when he was getting really ill, like, how to support him, right? Because all we could do is like, oh my goodness, we're going to take him to the ER. And the ER is going to fix him. But when he gets to the ER, guess what?
Yeah.
Well, he's normal. We're going to release him.
Yeah.
Like no one understands, because they're still very much who they are.
Right.
But they have this, you know, imbalance in their brain. And so when they're associating with other folks, they're very much normal. But then when they're with you and they're starting to show, you're the only person, like the family is the only people who are seeing the symptoms happen in real time, right? And so for him, it was a journey to get him diagnosed, to get him to the proper care. We didn't even know that he had to be on hold so that they could properly diagnose him. How do we even get him there, right? And there were so many times where we didn't know how to support him. He would run away, and we're like, oh my goodness, we just hope that he comes back home. And it would go days, and you don't know where he's at. And, you know, there were just so many things, right? But, you know, in Hmong culture, sometimes people say, oh, well, they could become spiritually enlightened, right? They may become a shaman, or there's other things happening. You may have to seek spiritual healing, or you can convert and go to church. For a long time, suicide and mental health is so, like...
taboo.
Yeah,
right?
it's taboo, and people don't even acknowledge it, right? And so I was like, oh my goodness, I wish I had other folks to share like these thoughts with, so that we could provide the best care for our individual that we love, right? Or how do we best advocate for them? And honestly, I do think that part of my experience personally with my loved ones is why I really enjoy doing this kind of work too. Because when I meet people who are schizophrenia or have like a really severe diagnosis in mental health, I'm not scared of them. Because I understand, right? Like I've seen it happen in my personal life. And so for me, it's like, hey, how can we provide that support for you, whether it's a referral, whether it's just someone to talk to until you figure it out. That's so important. And part of why BAM is here is because of that.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So Wanda, on top of psychology and mental health and BAM, you're also a spiritual leader. You're into spirituality, right?
Yeah,
Shamanism.
I mean, I would say that. So I you could say I'm
So do you
spiritual
see-
in a way where
Yeah.
I feel like I support all sorts of pathway to healing, right? I have folks that attend groups who are Christians, and they have strong belief, and it's helped them recover. I have folks who come to group and they're shaman, and it's helped them recover. And I even have Hmong folks who are Muslim, and like we have to understand that we are living a different time. People come and they have different beliefs. We have people who are Buddhism that come to group. We have people that come to group and they're like, they don't believe in nothing. And sometimes we have folks who come to group and they're like, they believe in crystals and energy healing. I'm not here to tell them like there's one pathway to healing. And like even on our BAM website, we always say we support all pathways to recovery because we really do. We want to make sure people can can come here and share their journey and not be judged, or share their journey and know that there's support for them, whether whatever religion they are or whichever way they're taking, right? Some folks, they come and we say harm reduction, they come and they're still using. Do we still support them? Of course we do,
Yeah.
because we are looking at it from a harm reduction lens. And so we want to be able to provide as much support as possible so that their journey is a little lighter.
Yeah.
And sometimes their journey is a really long one. You know, in
Yeah,
recovery, it's
yeah.
like a cycle.
Yeah.
You know?
And before we get too far in depth, like I hear harm reduction being thrown around a lot. Like, can you kind of explain that too, just in case like somebody in the audience like
Yeah.
doesn't really quite understand or know what that means?
I'll let you go. So, what do you guys teach harm reduction at BAM?
Yeah. Okay. So Danny, I know your work, and I would love to hear what your thoughts on harm reduction. But really, what harm reduction really mean, right? Usually, there's a class that you can take. It's like a 3-day class. They talk about harm reduction, ways to help people, and how other countries or state have been doing harm reduction. And sometimes harm reduction looks like a wet house where people come and they can get clean needles and test strips, and so they can test their drugs to make sure that it doesn't have fentanyl in there and
Right.
stuff like that, right? So there's so many levels to it. Or some people, they come and they stay somewhere and they can safely use because there's a nurse or a staff that's always watching them.
Right.
Harm reduction sometimes can also look like they stop using a hard drug, but they drink all the time.
Yeah.
And that's still harm reduction, right?
Right.
Because
Okay.
they're using something that's less harmful.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how we teach harm reduction in BAM is that we understand our community has been doing harm reduction for years. Our parents have been supporting our loved ones for years. Like, I know so many families who love their loved ones even though they're using. They provide a safe place for them to stay, a roof over their head, feed them. They run away, come back, and you're still providing support for them. And the thing about Asian parents, that they're not going to tell you I love you, and they're not going to hug and
Right.
kiss
Yeah.
you, right? But they're going to always make sure you're fed, you're clothed, and you have a home to go to.
Yeah.
And in many cases, when I work with individuals, they always tell me, no, my parents love me. I don't know why I choose this life, right?
Yeah.
And then I hear that too. And of course, I hear the other stories that are extreme, like they're orphans, they don't have anyone.
Yeah.
And so they choose to use, right? Or there's other trauma that's happening to them that we cannot see. But in a lot of cases, when I'm working with Southeast Asian or Asian folks, they're saying, I do have a home to go to. I need to work on me. So
Right.
working on me may look like going to treatment or coming to support group to make sure that I don't cause additional harm to my family.
Right.
But I think that the Asian community does know what harm reduction is, even though we don't put a name on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess yeah. That was actually like, I've never had somebody put it me in that terms.
No, I completely agree. And it's not focusing on abstinence only, right? Because that can be dangerous, because we want the clients also to acclimate to not using, right? So if it does take harm reduction, then that's what we'll do, right? The approach. But there are centers that are abstinent only based, right? And so I see the use of both types of settings. And so yeah, in a setting like BAMS, where harm reduction is highly prioritized, it's so significant because our culture prioritizes that, right? And so to go from compassionate, slow to cold, distant, that's a big drastic change for clients.
Yeah, if they're going from like being cared for at home and they're using, and then they have to, like, for example, they are required to go to an inpatient, and now they have to be cold turkey. That might be really hard for them. It may take a long time.
Yeah.
And some people, they're strong enough to do that. Some people, they will just relapse.
Yeah.
And some people just tough it out because they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then before we went into the harm reduction, we were kind of talking about like cultural and like spiritual things. Like, do you ever find it? Do you ever find those things like conflicting with the work that you do?
Ooh, repeat that.
Do you ever find like, I guess like there are like cultural barriers or like even religious, spiritual reasons that maybe prevent someone from seeking help, or or I think one of the big conversations right now in the Hmong community is that is shamanism, right? There are a lot of people, I guess.
We have a lot of modern shamans.
Yeah, a lot of
Right.
right. But if you just break down those symptoms, that looks similar to like schizophrenia, and then how do you distinguish between the two, and how do you navigate that? I know we talked about that off air, but like I would like to just kind of, because I thought you
Yeah.
made a really great point about that.
So I think when it comes to doing that kind of like being a professional and then understanding folks if they are spiritually gifted and they're going through a mental health crisis is understand the complexity of it, right? And I think a lot of time as professionals, you want to make sure that you're diagnosing them correctly. Um, and so that could be very tricky. And so but as a person who has cultural specificity, right? Like we're cultural specific. We understand the Hmong culture, right? And we speak the language. There are moments where we could see, okay, like they're talking about their journey to spirit, like their spiritual journey, or no, that's mental health.
Yeah.
Like that's really bad. It's really hurting them because they're self-harming or they're hurting other people. But if someone's telling me like, oh, I see my guides or I see my guardian angels, I'm gonna really think about like, okay, well, what does that mean to them? And so it is really hard to diagnose. And I'm not saying I'm a professional in that area because I'm not a therapist, but I think when I work with individuals who do have those kind of complexities, it's like being compassionate, right? Like listening to them. Maybe they just need someone to hear them out.
Yeah.
And that's really it.
I completely agree with you. And I don't have much experience working with spiritual clients, but a lot of my clients are spiritual and they talk about being messengers of God. And who am I to say, no, you're not? Right?
Yeah.
So kind of like Wanda said, I kind of just go with it. If you say you're hearing messages from God, what is he saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
My job is to make sure you're not harming yourself or others. And if the voices are telling you to be a threat, then it's my job to bring you back and say, let's not listen to that voice.
Yeah.
But if the voices are saying, I'm a messenger of God and I'm spreading the word of God, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's great. If that helps you in your recovery,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
let's do it.
And I know a lot of individuals who share with me like, oh, they've been spiritually enlightened when they come into recovery. And so I'm just a person who can sit here and say, hey, okay, I'm going to provide you support however you need it. If you need a ride to your appointment, you need to grab your medication.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need so that your journey is less like restrictive, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to create path for folks to find help that makes sense for them. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, there's so many treatment centers. Which one makes sense for you? Do you need one that's language specific? Do
Right.
you need support that's additional support, like a peer specialist who speaks Hmong or Lao or
Yeah.
like what is it that you need? And so we're just
Yeah.
trying to connect the dots for them.
Yeah.
And so like when you're talking about spirituality, like I always say like, oh, you just be surprised what you go through when you're working with individual, because you will have your own spiritual awakening and enlightenment too, because in this work it's a lot of mental processing. And you may come to a point where you see stuff. I don't know,
Yeah.
I was joking. Earlier I was joking like, oh man, when you see it, you'll know. Like you could tell.
Yeah.
And of course, it's like if you do have those experiences, it is scary, because you're not used to it. But also understand that when we grow in this kind of work, we're growing spiritually as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you, Wanda.
Yeah.
Since our friend Cam here is Laotian, I want to see if there's any difference that you notice between your clients in Asian specific. So Hmong clients versus Laotian clients. Are there differences?
There's
in
not very much difference because a lot of our community are so close, tight knit, and a lot of time when we're talking about like getting better and going home, all our Southeast Asian folks, they always have someone they're connected to. Because I do think that in our community, it's good to emphasize that family is so important to us. And like, it's so devastating if a person doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Because they're always, spend their time seeking it. I do have folks that don't have family to go back to, or their family don't trust them anymore due to years of just having like trouble with each other, right?
Yeah.
And that's really difficult to see too. But in the most case, folks do find their connection again, whether if it's not their parents, could be an aunt or uncle. Yeah.
Yeah, for the Laotian community, are you guys very community centered like that too, where you have all the aunties and uncles get involved in?
Yeah, I remember as a kid, we had someone, I don't know if it was a family member, probably. Like, you know how, like, when you're close with people, everyone's your cousin, stuff like that. Yeah, because we had somebody that was going through, using, I don't know what they were using, but then they were just kind of going from house to house. Eventually, their parents kind of kicked them out because they were kind of over it.
Yeah.
And then I would remember sometimes seeing him like come over to our house and take a nap or to sleep and eat for a little bit, and he would just disappear the next day, and I wouldn't see him again for like another 14 days, and then it was just kind of like a circle. But yeah, I feel like, or now I think I haven't seen him in probably like at least 3 years, but the last time I did, he's doing really well too. So. Yeah, I think the community in terms of like the Lao community and the Hmong community is really, really similar, especially, with the family aspect of it.
The support.
Eventually, I mean, sometimes your parents will maybe kick you out at that, like the spur of the moment type deal. And then the next week you'll just come home and then everything was kind of be fine again. Yeah.
And even when they do that, like, you have like cousins and relatives that'll always kind of be there for you. Yeah.
Yep.
And so, Danny, like, and you work with a more like specifically Southeast Asian community, and you kind of work with like a
General population.
yeah. Do you see, I guess, like, do you see less of that in that? Because I think you had mentioned the idea of having like some people not having anybody to turn to, or like when or after they go through your program, like there's nobody to really send them out to. Like, do you see that more within like the general population?
Absolutely. I think since I work with more of the community outpatient, inpatient setting, I do see more diverse population. So a lot of the clients that come through my doors are either white or Black, African American, or Hispanic. I don't get a lot of Asians coming through the doors, but the white folks, the Black American, African American folks, they're often telling me how when they got into their patterns of drug use got really bad, their parents or their family kicked them out, and they didn't have a home, and they still continued to live out in the community or chose homelessness because they didn't have a house.
Yeah.
And that was so foreign to me because I was like, wait,
Right.
what?
Yeah.
Where's your cousin?
It's like, where's your auntie?
Yeah.
Or like your grandma, your grandpa, or somebody. And they're like, no, I'd rather continue my substance use and live out as a homeless than to go back home because I don't even talk to my family after they kicked me out. I'm like, what?
Wow.
And we do see that, like there's a lot of folks that are Southeast Asian Hmong in the encampment sites, and they're homeless, and they choose to be that way because they don't want to go back home and then be told what to do, and that's a form of freedom for them. And I think the hardest part for a lot of folks is, hey, how do we meet them where they're at? Not forcing them to go into some type of inpatient or some type of detox or some kind of shelter where they feel like they're restricted. How do we support them as they are going through their recovery journey? And a lot of time folks who are who finally receive like stable housing, they would tell me like, Wanda, that's like the only thing I needed to go into recovery because I've been homeless for so long. Like, how bad could it be if I just use, right?
Yeah.
But now that I have a home to go to,
I have
and
something to lose.
yeah, and a shelter, and so I can actually rest.
You know, one significant thing. Are we pausing?
No.
Okay.
Continue. I'm just.
Yeah, one significant thing that I notice about a lot of my clients are that if they are experiencing homelessness, when they're so used to always bringing their stuff with them, so they always bring everything with them. And one time I was curious, so I asked, I was like, I see that you always carry your things with you. how did that happen, or what's, and then I think they said, well, when you're homeless, you just get used to carrying everything with you because you don't have a lot of stuff, and you just don't want to lose it. And I was like, damn, gosh, that hurts. And so I think to have a home, a stable place to put your stuff, that changes everything, right?
There's a safety factor, right? To feel safe putting your ID
Right.
somewhere, right?
Exactly.
Instead
They
of
say
carrying everything with you.
they can't even carry birth certificates, social security cards, all those important documents.
Yeah.
They can't carry. I don't even think majority of them have access to it.
Right.
So they have to go get their records from the county.
Yeah. And so last year we saw, the biggest, I think, one of the biggest like things the biggest news in the Hmong community was like the Hmong encampments that you mentioned earlier. Like, so I think historically, I don't know if this is true or not, but there was probably a lot less like homeless Hmong people because of what you said, right? Because of this idea that there's always this greater community that would kind of help and look out for you. So is it a newer thing? And then like what are things that the community like doing to kind of start to address some of these things?
Sure, yeah. So with the biggest Hmong population encampment site was in St. Paul, right?
Yeah.
Like we saw in the videos, and folks going out there to like give them food and clothes and such. It is something that may be foreign to Hmong people because Hmong people didn't even know that there was that many Hmong people there.
Yeah.
And
I honestly didn't know either until I saw it. I didn't even know there were homeless Asians.
yeah,
Very rare.
And I think that's just bound to happen with time, that people are going to be homeless. People are not going to have their real parents alive anymore, and they go homeless, or their siblings do not take them in anymore, or their aunt and uncle are no longer around. And so homelessness is real for the community as well. And to say that we do have like close-knit community where our aunties and cousins can take us in, well, that's not a reality for some folks. Right?
Yeah.
And like for the ones who do have that, they're really fortunate.
Yeah, and I think that's why like the work that you do is so important, right? Because like I think you guys like are doing like a lot of the preventative stuff that kind of helps, like, I guess somebody from getting that deep into it. I don't know if I'm like using like the appropriate terms, and I don't want to be like disrespectful or rude too. So like I'm trying to dance around the words, but like I don't know, like the work that you guys do is so important. Like, yeah, but just because you guys are kind of like, I guess like, I don't know, preventing.
To experience homelessness, if you have a mental health diagnosis, it's a slippery slope, and it can get bad quickly, right? So, and on top of that, if you add substance use, right, your chances of recovering without the help of your community, it's so much harder, right? That's why we do see a lot more white folks, a lot more African Americans or Black folks living out as homeless and using substances, because they do face these mental health crises, right? And when their families are, they don't want to have to deal with them anymore, right? They just say, okay, that's it. And being part of an Asian community, we're collectivists, right? Our mindset is framed around, this is our person, they're part of our community, we have to help them. So we are still at that cusp of helping our folks, right? But like Wanda said, we're not that far from experiencing, I think 1 or 2 generations left, we will start experiencing more Asians out living in experiencing homelessness, right? Because we're moving from, Peng, you said Hmong people have only been here for 50 years, right? That means for 50 years we have that we kept that collectivist mindset, right? And as we distance ourselves further from the time we arrived, right, our roots, we're moving away further from it. So if we don't continue to harbor that collectivist, that community mindset of like, these are our people, we need to continue to help, then we do lose that aspect.
And that's part of the reason why we started we started a support group, because we understood that, folks are losing family support. Folks are not getting those family support that we traditionally had gotten in the last 50 years. Are what is it? The, it's changing. It's changing
Oh, for sure.
because
Yeah.
we're moving with modern times.
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
are changing. If we don't find support or create support, there's not going to be any for our
Yeah.
community. And the folks that do come to support group, many of them are folks who come from the encampment site or who are homeless, and they come and they don't have any home. They really don't.
Yeah.
And they come and they say the first thing they're looking for is, can you find me shelter and I will go to treatment.
Yeah.
And that's more and more often. Like we were just the other day we were looking at our stats because we were doing a community assessment with the participant, and we're saying like, okay, well, there's a big percentage of folks who are homeless that come to our support group.
Yeah.
And so to say that we don't need these kind of support is it's not true.
Right.
Like you're saying, it's becoming where folks are not gonna have family support.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And I always like attribute it to this idea, like I think sometimes like in the Eastern culture, there's this like greater collective type of community, and here in the West, it's all about the individual. And I think the longer we stay here, the more we adopt that, right?
Yeah.
And we're finding that sometimes that collectivist mindset prevents us from doing well, or kind of restricts us or holds us back from doing well in this type of environment. And but as we adopt these more individualistic traits, I think we lose out on the benefits that these things have served us for generations and generations. You know, so it's just it's a very interesting. I don't know, like social.
I feel like when we live in the United States, it's kind of opposite of what we learned back in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Because back over there, we're more interdependent. We're together. We're a clan, a village. But over here, everything is all about independence.
Yeah.
And then I feel like it's almost inevitable where, which is great that BAM's here to kind of counter that. Because a lot of people, they, as we, stay in the United States, because, we've been here for 50 years, we will, I don't want to say eventually, but it seems like we're losing that collectivism.
Yeah.
And the fact that BAM's doing a great job in trying to counter that.
Yeah, and the fact that we were all kind of shocked, like, wow, there's that many Asian folks in the encampment site. That's showing, like, hey, there's a really need in the community. There's a crisis that's happening, and it's hard because we're not categorized as a high risk population at all.
Yeah.
Wow, there's like 50% of the folks in that encampment site were Southeast Asian folks.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like as Asians, we're so meek, right? We don't speak out. We don't.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The thing is, we keep a lot of things within our community too, because we're like, don't blow it out of proportion, right? We minimize it. We say, it's not a big problem. Oh, it's not an issue yet, right? And so then when we do that, we show the public that, hey, Asians don't get into a lot of trouble, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we're the model minorities, which is so stupid because it's like, I suck at math.
Yeah.
It's a big myth, and then like when we're looking at stats stack up against particularly Southeast Asian communities, right? Like there's a high percentage of Southeast Asian of folks who are incarcerated. There's a high percentage of folks who are substance use. Like to be out like a high percentage of like as an Asian collective, and then this particular subgroup of Asian is just like really high in those areas.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then how it's so disproportionate. How do we provide support?
Right. Because in data or research that's collected, right, on these kind of stats, when they collect it, they say Asian. Okay, Asian.
Yeah.
Right? They don't say what region of Asian and how, like the impact of it, because Chinese people are very different from Japanese people. Japanese people are very different from Koreans. Koreans are very different from Vietnamese, right? And so each culture has its own subsets of culture, right? And here we are saying, here's the data, throw us all in one group.
Yeah. Well, there was a big push a long time ago to have Southeast Asian as their own class. Like, whatever happened to that? And then also, second question is like, why is it important? And I think that's something that we don't talk about too. Is like, why is it important that we are listed as like I guess like as a
one big thing.
or why is it important to distinguish us? You know, and I guess like I'm alluding to like the amount of like support like financially and stuff that we get down you know down the line, but like why is it important for us to be separate? And then whatever happened to that movement where we were trying to be separate from the larger Asian
main
community,
East Asian population.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those things are so difficult, and like it's a political view, right? So we don't when we're doing recovery work, we can't see that because we're doing one-on-one service.
Yeah.
Someone's coming in with need. We're not seeing like, oh, okay, well, are you Vietnamese? You know, we're just like, okay, you need help. Let's get this going. Let's support you and let's get you to the best location you need to be. If you need to go inpatient, you need outpatient, you need cultural specific support. And so those things may play a really big factor, but it's like almost like an invincible string or something we can't see.
Yeah. And then the second part of that question is like you know, obviously money is like funneled down. I'm trying to figure out how to word this, but exactly, I guess I'm trying to set you up to say something along the lines of it's important for us to be categorized as this so that it can be more of like a priority to get addressed. I don't know.
Oh, sure.
I was trying to set you up to like,
got
you know,
it. So like to say that like our community is high risk.
Yeah.
We do need the
There we
support.
go. Yeah.
We're not categorized.
A lot of funding isn't directed
not at
towards
all.
Asian
Sometimes we're not
communities.
even part of the subcategory of
Yeah.
needs, right?
Yeah.
Because they're like you say, there's this myth about us, and they're like, well, what do you mean Asian people have substance use disorder? What do you mean? What do they even use? Like I get that all the time. Like what do you mean?
Like,
what do you guys even use? It's
Asians
like,
are
what?
addicts?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, and then sometimes it's comical for me to think about it because I'm like, well, I grew up in the same environment. What do you think is happening?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I grew up in the same neighborhood as you,
Yeah.
so most likely similar things.
Yeah.
But I would agree with Danny. You said earlier, like we put on this great exterior that we're doing okay when we're suffering and silent. And there's so many brothers and sisters I know that do really well for themselves. But they're still using. And they're high tolerant users. And they're too ashamed to share. And so there's that too.
And I think, Peng, to answer your question, right, about the separation, because this has come up before where, so we did this segment and it said how funding isn't allocated specifically to different Asian populations, right? It's just if we're looking at just Asians as in if they're one demographic, right? And so when funding goes to different culturally specific groups or organizations, right? Oftentimes Asians can be overlooked, right? And it's because they don't seem to need the help of mental health, right? So it's like, okay, well, this isn't a priority, right? So that's why it's important to distinguish because the Southeast Asians are, you know, they have been in conflict and they have been in war, right? So recently. And so if you look at that, then there is a big disparity. Right? Because the Chinese have had Genghis Khan. Right? Like,
and so their experience and their background, their history,
lineage,
is
really rich.
it's very different. And Asian and just you're including all of the Middle East. You know, you're including Russia. You know, so it's like the idea of Asian and putting every, I don't know, like 100 so countries or whatever into this one large category is pretty insane. And and then I guess so I was trying to find a way to like set you up to like bat that out the park.
And also like it depends how long you've been in America. We've been here for about 50 years. Other Asians been here way longer.
right.
They've had different experience than we do.
They had time to establish.
Right, and our disparity is real, but sometimes there's even no data to even prove that.
Right.
Like when we were doing our research, we are like, how come it only said 20 people in Hennepin County? And we're like, I swear,
What?
that's the size of my group.
They're
There has
It's
to be
like, man, you're the
more.
only one doing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
they
we
reduce
we were,
it.
we were just saying I don't think that's like the stats is not correct,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But of course it's so hard because we haven't done in a community assessment in a long time for this
Yeah.
kind of work. Folks are, obviously BAM is working on that
Yeah.
and trying to collect data and understand where is the need, what are people seeking, because that will help us, right, identify, okay, maybe housing is the issue, maybe
Right.
language barrier is the issue, maybe cultural specific treatment is the issue, that we have to
Yeah.
address those. I don't yeah
Yeah, and so many factors come into play when you're dealing with mental health, right? Because it's not just one factor. It's,
Yeah.
gosh, my job sucks. I hate it, but I can't leave because I'm the supporter of this financial support of the family, right?
Yeah.
Or my marriage sucks. I can't leave because there's so many of them. I have to stay in here to keep the family together, right? So you have so many aspects of it. Or my family sucks. Like they keep grilling me because I'm not achieving what they expect, right? And so it's not just one single thing. We have to
Yeah.
look at it holistically. And when we do, it kind of paints a clear picture of what's happening.
yeah
Right. Yeah. And then, sorry, I'm like jumping all over the
no,
place,
go,
but
go
like,
for it.
I was thinking of, when I was talking about the idea of us going from a collectivist culture to a more individualist culture, and then what do we lose out in that process, and what services can we create to kind of counter those barriers, right? Whereas like I think you guys do a good job of kind of fulfilling that family support, but like I was talking to this, I got off work and then I took my kids to the beach, and I was talking to this Hmong guy, and he's a young guy my age, and we were kind of talking about how, yeah, like we don't and he's a young Hmong father, and he's like, yeah, we don't have that like parental support like this, whereas historically there's always kind of been like this generational support to help you watch your kids.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something for somebody in the audience, if you want to.
Peng needs
maybe,
a babysitter.
Yeah. Maybe we need to start creating
need a
a
netai.
culturally specific. Yeah. You could call it netai. Yeah, a
Netai
culturally
daycare.
specific. Yeah, daycare. Yeah,
that's
and some kind of service. But yeah, I'm just thinking about like what else are we losing out on, and then also like what can we create to kind of support the greater community as we move to this more individualistic thing. I don't know. It was just like something in my head. I don't. Yeah. But
That's a great question.
yeah, money idea. I don't know. Somebody write a grant about it. Yeah.
One of the biggest thing BAM really focuses on is how do we embrace our culture and traditions, and that comes in many forms, right? We're working on creating a art program that enriches youth life, by but it's a prevention tool.
Yes.
And coping mechanism for them. So if they're impacted, for example, if their parent is someone in recovery, there's a high risk for them to become a user. But if we create programs that are enriching their life and giving them tools for life, hopefully someday they can use those tools and don't use, right? Because if the only way to cope is how they saw their parents cope, the high chance of them using, there's gonna be a high chance of them using. So we're working on creating programs that are enriching them and reintroducing them to what their traditions and culture are, and who are they? Or like if you're Lao, what is that, right? As first generation, we're losing out on a lot of that already. Even our children, they don't even speak Hmong anymore, right?
Yeah.
Or don't even speak Lao anymore.
Yep.
So how do we reintegrate our folks, right? Whether they're youth or whether they're even individual adults.
Right.
And what we're finding in our support group is that when we reintegrate folks back to their community, it shows a lot of positive impact. It shows that they're in recovery longer. They actually re-identify and say, okay, yes, I understand now. I understand, and one of the things we always talk about is, can we teach you one part of your culture that you can hold on to, so that they don't lose out, like lose out of their identity, because we are in an individualistic community.
Yep.
We are gonna become more and more individualistic. How do we reintegrate so that they find part of who they are? And and I find that when people find out those things about themselves, they actually stay in recovery longer.
You know, that's a. I love how you articulated that. I mean, that's exactly what the farm is for me.
There you go.
You know, it was just like it was a connection between me and my mother, and it was a connection between me and my and like and the Hmong culture, and it was just kind of like this thing that I've always had, and like you know, and we talked about this off air, but like as a kid, you kind of resent doing it, right? She's standing over your shoulder, kind of yelling at you to kind of do this, do that, and then you kind of grow up resenting it, but then you end up as an adult. I mean, I guess I was lucky enough to find some peace in that. But then I eventually, you know, and I held on to that, and I just continued to do that. But I guess I did without even realizing it. It kind of brought me back to the culture, right? And then now, like, I guess in a weird way, like now I'm kind of, you know, I'm now put in a position where I'm like kind of speaking on that, and I think thank you for articulating that, because like I've always tried to like break down like what exactly happened, how did I end up out here farming, but yeah, I mean ultimately like I always said like this is deeply a thing that me and my mother did, and then you know this is deeply ingrained in something we did as a pastime, or not just a pastime, but this is something that was deeply rooted in the Hmong culture. Was gardening and farming and agriculture. And so I think just being able to hold on to that, some little piece of that later on in life, I think is so important for someone's development. Do you guys have?
I was just gonna say, I think you're probably I wouldn't say one of the small, or you're one of the lucky few that you know enjoy, because there are other people probably like, I'd never want to garden again.
Because like you know, earlier you guys had mentioned like gardening. You know, when you guys garden, like my mom, she was like in a wheelchair, so she couldn't go and rent out these like large acres. She couldn't, and so for me, my experience was just doing it in the backyard, where I can see somebody that had to go do it, drive out like hours and hours and spend days and camping out there all weekend in the sun. They'll probably hate it a lot more. So I guess I was like, very fortunate in that sense.
And you must have experience.
I have experience because my grandma, she used to be a farmer, right? My grandma and grandpa. And so they grew chilies, green onions, cilantro, corn, sugarcane. And God, I remember spending my weekends at the flea market selling veggies because my grandma, and I'd remember washing green onion in a kiddie pool, you know, those plastic kiddie pools. So I remember doing all that. I don't think I hate it though. I think I appreciate it because I saw where my food came from. And also I was a dirty, messy kid, so I loved it.
We gotta get you back in there. I'm gonna hire you onto the farm. I
don't know.
I need a farmhand.
Now that I'm 34 and I haven't done that in over 30 years or 20 years, right? I'm just like, I don't know, dirt kind of is icky to me now.
I'm telling you. Well, you said that you had told a story about
the farm,
the farm. You're gardening, and you realize when you just start doing it again, how nice it is, and it just comes back to you.
Naturally.
I mean, maybe you might hear like the trauma, like a traumatizing voice of your parents like yelling at you to do stuff as you're, but so it might not be great, but it comes back to you so quick, and it's just second nature. And I always say like we're one generation removed from agriculture. Was our life back in the motherland, right? And my thing why it's important for me is like if we stop, we're stopping this long tradition and long lineage of agriculture. And you guys have some of that too, right? Because your mom, like when I went to, you know what I love about going to your house? I went to your house, and your house looked just like my house. Plants everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
the backyard was just a giant garden.
Yeah, my mom took over because back in Laos, yeah, she's a big farm girl.
Yeah.
Not scared of any type of animal. I see a rat, I kind of scream. she would literally just grab it and like store it away.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
man, she so even now, they live in Cologne now, and the whole backyard is just hers.
Yeah.
It's just one side is just like a bunch of peppers, bunch of green
Yeah.
onions, bunch of lettuce, bunch of cilantro, all these herbs. So like every summer, whenever I do need anything, I just go over there and just grab, and I'll just ask my mom, and she'll just pick it up for me right away. But yeah, I guess that's one of the things that I'm kind of envious of. I wish you did make me do that with her because I mean I guess I wouldn't say I was spoiled.
It's not too late.
Yeah.
It's not too late.
Because what I did, I just went outside, played sports, slept in. I never learned anything about gardening, and I probably should have.
Never too late.
Yeah.
If you're interested in gardening, my dad gardens every single day, and so he's always putting on the Hmong music on his iPhone. He's like, do 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 do. So you hear it. So if you ever want, and I have a 60-year-old Asian man ready to teach you how to garden.
Yeah, it's amazing because like when I used to wake up to go to soccer practice, at 7 a.m. Even then that was early, and she was already up at 5, just.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's going at it, and then when I come back home after school, she's doing it again. It's
And what I realized doing it now and to like a different level, like a smaller level, is like, dude, like it is their happy place, and it is like,
she would be mad like whenever she goes out of town or anything. She would be like, remember to water my plants.
Yeah,
my sister would forget, and if her pepper dies, she would be mad.
Because that's your summer.
My plants.
You worked all That's
Oh my goodness.
Well, like what I realized, like with my mother is like, when our parents came here, that's all they knew, and so they couldn't help us kind of navigate this new world. They couldn't help us like with schooling. They couldn't help us, like. This was all foreign to them, but this was the one thing that they knew, right? All of our parents.
The one thing that could ground them.
Yeah,
was
and so
gardening.
they just held on to it, and fortunately, like I got to do that with my mom, and so I got to see that. But like I think like I don't know, like I think that's like it's so huge for us, and I would say, man, sorry, like because your mother's still here, definitely take the time to just go check it out, and I don't know. I just imagine myself at like 60, 70.
Yeah.
And that'll be my happy place. And, I don't know. I can't wait. But
You're halfway there. You have goats and chickens.
I know. Yeah. And I'm 30, so literally there. Yeah. But you have a gardening program. I know you guys are just kind of getting that rolling.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, cause
So BAM knew that, like you say, BAM knew that we had to reintegrate, right? And that part of reintegrating was the wellness garden. I had many conversations with different individuals in our support group, and a lot of them had stories of recovery, stories of gardening, and either they're like, "Well, my parents, we farmed 10 acres," or like, "I used to do 40 with my in-laws," or like. Oh, and we're like,
sounds like competition.
Yeah, and then I had individuals like, "Are you sure, Wanda? Because I don't even really enjoy it, right?"
Yeah.
Like you said, I didn't really enjoy it. Like my parents made me pick cucumbers growing up.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I had like similar story. Like those were my experience with my parents, and me not having my mom around anymore either. I just found it so healing. Like. I felt like when I garden, I was having a piece of her with me. And so, and I know that a lot of individual in recovery, they're probably feeling that way too. And sometimes it's easier to talk about garden than recovery. But by talking about gardening, you can talk about recovery. Because I had a guy who told me like, oh, "This is amazing." He said to us, he was like, "This is amazing. I could finally have something in common with my sister, who's a vendor at Hmong Village. I could tell her that I'm gonna do recovery gardening, and that I have something to share, and even maybe I'll bring some vegetable to her." And to me, it was like that kind of conversation would have been much easier than say, "How are you doing in your recovery?"
Are you still using?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
like
gosh,
we understand that wellness in
man.
all community can be a little different, and in our community, sometimes wellness and recovery is one like. It's a one conversation into recovery.
Yeah.
So whether it's about gardening, it's about family, before we could say, hey, recovery is this.
Yeah.
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 It makes it easier.
Wow.
That makes a lot of sense when you think of the different types of therapy modalities that we have for children, right? So we have play therapy where you literally watch the children play and you don't say anything. You
Oh,
just
like,
sit
okay.
there and
Yeah.
observe the child. If the child talks to you, they talk to you. If not, they play. And you don't interrupt, right? And so that's kind of like gardening. And then there's art therapy, music
Yeah.
therapy, right? So different things to, I guess it's just different functions
Well,
of the brain.
it's kind of like what you said about sports last week in our last episode, but it's just this idea of locking in. You're locking into this thing and you're totally focused on this thing and you don't realize it, but like gardening and sports, you're making all of these decisions, like you're troubleshooting constantly, you're creative problem solving as you go, like throughout the season and every day. And so you're like working out these problems in your head, like thousands of problems going on like in your head like at the same time, and so it's like so stimulating for you. So I just like I would imagine that, you know, somebody who is anxious or someone who is dealing with or you know addiction, like that's got to be so helpful to just be able to lock in on something else.
And complete a task.
Yeah.
Be feeling accomplished. Like I think when I was listening to the last podcast, it's like finishing something, hitting a goal, right? For us, our wellness garden do have those completion tasks for you, right?
Yeah.
When you plant, now you get to see it grow. That inadvertently interpret into your healing and your recovery. And I know that BAM works really hard on doing a holistic approach.
Yeah.
So part of the wellness garden is to help folks realize themselves within the plants, right?
Yeah.
That they're growing, they're touching. And I was really nervous when we started this wellness garden because I didn't know how the participants were going to react because some of them were having hesitation too. But then when we started planting, we had everyone come out and plant with us. People were having so much fun. It was that day was raining, and they were running in the rain. We had like a bunch of youth there. We had parents there, and everybody was just doing their thing, plucking away, putting seeds everywhere, you know, putting plants in the, you know, raised beds, and then, you know, one way to honor that, we ate in the back of our, you know, trunk. We opened the back trunk and we all ate and we had plates passed around.
Oh, that's the best.
And it was pouring rain, but people were having so much fun. And
that.
that made me like had those nostalgic feeling you had too when you're in the field and you think about your loved ones. It made me think about all the little fun times I had growing up, going to the garden with my parents, and like having to chase insects and stuff around and frog and then being in the dirt, like you say, oh my goodness, it felt so dirty, right? And we're like I told you guys earlier, like how are we gonna get this garden going? Like we don't know nothing, and then all of a sudden our hands and feet are just going to work for itself, and our second nature just kicks in, and all of a sudden we're working and our and learning that maybe it's embedded in our DNA.
Your ancestors are coming out and saying, "This is how you do it."
I know, we're joking. We're like, you know, like so my mom passed away in 2019, and I was telling my sister-in-law, like, oh my God, my mom was like, you so stupid. Let me come help you. Let me teach you how to do it.
Let me control your hands.
To not have them.
Like, all of a sudden, like my hands are working, and I'm like, what the heck?
You're like, I've never done this in my life, but watch me. I know how to do this.
If they can see you today.
I know, and then we're laughing about that too. Like, oh my goodness, like, yo, what are you doing? And so it's been such a journey. It's been so joyful to see my participants use their garden as a healing tool for them.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
And I'm glad to hear like it's a journey for you too.
Yeah.
You know, and as you're like, you know, you're spending so much time, dedicating so much time to like your participants, but you're getting something out of it too, and it's like a healing thing for you too. And I think like I think taking care of yourself as the caregiver is so important. So that's awesome right here. But so we've got the women's group, we've got the garden. You guys also do a men's group at BAM, correct?
Yeah, we do a men's support group.
Yeah, and so how did that come to be?
So we've always known that men in the community need a lot of support because there is a lack of it, right? And it came when I was actually working at a different nonprofit, and I saw that there is a high need for them. They're a forgotten population, and I think this is all community, right? That they face like a lot of men just lack mental health services, recovery services, and so we knew that we needed to create something that matter for them and that they feel like could be theirs. And so when we started the men's support group, we had a really positive review on them. You know, obviously in my old job, I also had done men's support group. So in the community, I've done the work. And so starting BAM, I knew that I could go back to the community and let them know, like, hey, we have men's group here too, and you can definitely come to our group and find support. And so that's how men's group started, and it's been growing strong since. But what is it?
Open the window?
Oh, no.
Okay.
But we also have the youth prevention programs that we had. And the youth prevention program, to me, actually came to light when I had parents talk to me about their children.
You could just keep the door open. I think that might allow more airflow. Okay.
When their parents were telling me that the kids were having overdoses. It was during the pandemic, and I was like, well, we have to figure out a way to support them.
Yeah.
If these children who also have parents who are in recovery are using to OD and, such, then what can we do to provide support for them? And that's when that really came to light for me, is that youth prevention is so important because if their parents are a user, they're at a much higher risk. Yeah. And so it's been great to see how it developed, how it's grown.
Yeah.
We're family focused, so we take the age group can vary. Yeah. And that's why we need a lot of volunteers, because we know that each age group is fitted for, like, prevention looks different for each age group.
Yeah. So you're providing service for mom, dad, the children, and then giving them a space to kind of garden. Yeah, that's awesome. And then, so where are you guys meeting? How often are you guys meeting? Like,
yeah, sure. So currently, we've been given a space at the Salvation Army on Payne Avenue, and on Mondays we have our women's group and our youth prevention group, and then on Friday we have our men's support group, and so the women's group meet every other Monday. The men's group meet weekly.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's awesome. We gotta get out there to the garden.
To the garden.
I'm looking at Danny right now. She's behind the camera. But Danny, we gotta get out there in the garden.
Oh my god, I would love to garden. Yeah. Okay, we need to come out there and then get a special going about your program. That's amazing.
Come out to the garden.
You have men's, women's, youth, gardening. Everything.
Yeah.
Oh, so if let's say I'm not Asian, can I still come?
Absolutely. Okay. You can still come. We service anyone who wants to do the programs that we have offer.
Okay.
I think for us, it's the reason why we get a higher population of Asian folks is because we speak the language. So it's easier for them, right? Yeah. But I've seen so many different people come through, and it's been really joyful to see that.
Yeah.
And we're in a local area, like it's the Salvation Army. So
and Payne, because Payne, that's like downtown-ish, right?
No,
I'm sorry. That's
Payne, not quite. It's like right in the heart of the east side. On a bus line. So folks can come. Yeah.
Wanda, you also mentioned you're looking for volunteers.
Yeah, we're always looking. Yeah, so as our youth group is growing, and like I shared, there's so many different age group. We're always looking for youth workers or youth volunteers. So all you have to be is 18 plus, have a driver's license so you can drive there, or get drop off, right? And I would provide you with like a volunteer description. Of course, we have to sign some paperwork, for liability purpose because we're in a facility. And then you can do volunteer work, and I could be a reference. I can offer a reference. And also, mentorship and
community service hours.
Or community service hours if you need that. But we're always looking for volunteers and ways to engage our community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to figure out a way where we go out there and kind of help out and do something. For sure, selfishly, sorry. let me know when you guys need if you guys can get like a beehive out there or something, or in the garden or
Yes.
something.
That'd be so cool for you, Peng.
Yeah.
Yeah, Payne.
Um,
Let's get connected.
yeah.
We could definitely connect with the locations that we're at, and have you come out and do a little group.
Yeah.
And actually, we were teaching leadership program this past year at the Brooklyn Park
Oh yeah.
Center, and we saw your flyer. That's all I know.
Yeah. Oh man.
I was like, look at Payne.
Yeah.
He's doing big things.
Yeah, Wanda, you too. That's why I'm so glad you're here, man. Like, yeah. Hey, man, we're just Northside kids trying to make it, trying to really make an impact on the community out
Hey,
here.
you
all
make
right?
such a great point. Okay, so you know how earlier we talked about how hard it is to get out of that area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You three
Yeah.
did it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
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 Let's talk about that. Oh my
Oh.
God.
Oh,
We
yeah.
should-
we
Yeah,
definitely talk
I would
about
How
say
did you
for
guys get
sure,
to
like,
that?
you know, it's it is tough just because like I have friends that I've grew up with that just never escape that mindset.
Yeah.
But, you know, for whatever reason, whether it's, you know, the personal choice or their situation, things getting tied up. But, like, yeah, it is a harsh reality because, like, you know, and this is a pet peeve of mine. It's a big pet peeve of mine is when Hmong people talk about how well Hmong people are doing anything. It's like, we're hurting still. There's like there's a great number of us, majority of us are still, you know, down bad. And, you know, but I'm just lucky. I'm just lucky. I've met a lot of great people. I'm a kid. Like, I've been involved in every program that I came across, every youth program, Boy Scouts, AYP, the Y, all these like programs. And so I was able to meet these people, meet a ton of different people in the process. These programs would take me camping, take me out of the city where I got to meet people beyond my own city limits. And I remember like driving out or going out to the country to go camping, and we drove past this big house, and I was like, whoa, like people like live here, like this is a thing. And I think that kind of like just opened that door where it's just kind of like, oh, like there's something beyond the city, you know. I'm just lucky, and I was just one of those guys that, like I said, I just did as many programs as I did, and you know, and I didn't get caught up in anything that tied me and you know, that didn't allow me to move forward with my life, you know.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think you should give yourself credit, man. You're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me personally, it's probably having like great parents and also like a really good community. Because kind of like you, I mean, I wasn't involved in all the different programs, but then when I was younger, we did. My mom did put me into what they call Lao PTA, where they would come pick us up, you know, every Saturday, and sometimes during the weekday to play soccer.
You guys were on the Broadway.
Yep,
right?
yep,
Yeah,
right
okay.
next to the I think the pizza spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we would go there, and that's where I did meet a lot of people who I will say some people they're still there. They're still kind of
So you have friends still there.
yeah. That's still kind of going through that lifestyle, the hood or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's because the family dynamic that I did have. My family my parents were a little bit more strict. Because coming to America, you know, they're afraid of everything. They're like, come home right after school. Don't do that. Don't do this. They did let us do lapite, and eventually they kind of eased off and let us play sports.
Right.
So it was just the community, the people that I was around. You know, you surround yourself with people that you kind of want to be, that will help each other succeed.
Yeah.
But then again, kind of like you said, like luck that did play kind of a role because a lot of like our friends or friends that I grew up with, we kind of did have the same community. We did have the same environment. It's just maybe I think maybe like their home life wasn't as great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was all supported. I would say also I was the youngest out of 4 kids, and they kind of paved the way for me too. So that definitely had a factor. And now, you know, thankfully we're all pretty successful. We're all pretty good, and life is good right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
How about you, Wanda?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think I played against Laos PTA too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember y'all?
Yeah.
She's like, we'll fight outside.
Yeah.
Was it? Didn't you play at Bryn Mawr too?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yup,
Oh.
I
Wait,
see you.
you were in soccer, right? You
I
played
was in soccer. I
Yeah.
played for the Glenwood Rec
Yeah.
when it was still there in Northside Minneapolis, and at the time I think they were making us into a co-ed. And I remember trying out my first season and I didn't make it because I was pretty small. I think I was like a third grader, but by the time I was like a fourth grader, maybe the summer after fourth grade going into fifth, they let me play.
Yeah.
And it was so hard, I ain't gonna lie. I got kicked in, the ball hit my face
Yeah.
because they had older kids playing.
I really kicked in the ball at some girl down.
It was totally cab, no. But we played in the gym a lot, and then in the winter we played in the gym. And I remember the rec was so great. They gave me like shorts and shoes. Because obviously I just knew I wanted to play. I didn't even know I needed those equipment. And the staff, like the owner, or at the time maybe the director of the program, he gave me these items. But you know, like I was just a little kid. I didn't even understand that you had to pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think he was just watching me be so excited. He just gave it to me. He's just so excited to see me so happy that I got onto the team. And so I played through the summer. I played at Bryn Mawr with the Lao PTA. I remember playing Lao PTA all the time because they'd be like, Wanda, pass the ball. And I'm like, I don't know how to pass.
She was just so happy to get the ball. She's like,
No, I was like,
time to
I just keep
shine.
running with it. And they're like, pass it, side pass. And I couldn't side pass. So I was a defense player for a long time.
Yeah.
And I know, like, Pink, I know you know, like, in college, I played flag football.
Yeah.
And I was a tight end, right? And I think that was, like, a great coping, like, you know, mechanism for me going through, like, college and having, like, a lot of, like, uncertainty and doubts and stuff. Like, being in a sport really helped me, like, ground myself, right? And, like, being really good at something really helped.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And so, yeah. So being in Northside or growing up in the projects really does change you. And, you know, what it also does teach you is that, you know, like, community is so important. I remember having a garden there, too.
Yeah.
In Northside, they had a community garden.
Yeah.
And each folks who had registered that year, they'll get, like, a small plot with, like, 3 raised bed, and people can plant. And so I remember just being a little kid carrying a gallon of water to help pour in the you know, garden. And so, like, a lot of my childhood and upbringing really translate into what I do for BAM nowadays. And I joined a lot of programmings, and that really helped structure me and help me maybe, like, deter me from making decisions that might have hurt me.
Yeah.
But, you know, I would say, like, a lot of my brothers and sisters, loved ones, a lot of them still had those really bad experience, you know, where they were just as involved. They ended up using or being around the wrong people, and that really impacted their life for a really long time. My family still live in Northside. So, you know, like a lot of folks, when they came and they resettle, and I believe, like, when they were taking down the project homes, folks were getting, like, incentive to go buy homes, right? And so people who ended up buying a house in Minneapolis, Northside there, I believe a lot of them paid off their home. I always say, like, I don't live too far. I don't live too far from Northside. And I feel like I still service a lot of individuals who do live in the community. Like you say, that sometimes I do feel like there's a lack of, like, support or funding to help people. And like you say, like a pressure cooker, there's, like, never enough resources and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's why, like, same with you, like, there's a guilt where instead the survivor's guilt where you come out here and you're, like, starting to do okay. But yeah, that's why, like, a big part of, like, what we try to do here is, like, we try to eventually, the goal is to bring the farm back into the city. And, you know, we were fortunate enough to work with Brooklyn Park. Not Northside, but we're going to work our way there. Hopefully we're going to make some connections and kind of start to make our way back into the city. And hopefully the goal is to have, like, I already got the plot in my head, like, right there on, like, 38th and Humboldt, right by Farwell Park. There's, like, the little plot right there, and it used to be, like, a little flower garden. I have always imagined that place. That's gonna be where my horse stable is gonna be. But like, so the goal is to always go back there and, like, and do some work there. But it's so, like, we're lucky.
Yeah.
I miss Northside.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you guys
yeah.
clearly define what North Side is? Because I feel like I travel around Minneapolis and I'm just like, which is North?
You'll know when you go there. I would say.
Okay, so
yeah.
I in one of the offices I work at, it's in it's by Nicolette and Franklin.
Yeah, that's south.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
South?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think when you cross, so there's a street, when you cross 394,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
becomes
Yeah.
north side.
Yeah.
There's like the highway separates.
Yeah. But I would
I think
say.
it's like from Olsen Memorial or
Yeah.
Olsen
Oh, is it
Highway.
Olsen?
I'm thinking Olsen Memorial to like before we hit Osceola Road.
Yeah, because I would say.
Yeah.
I think that's the actual barrier, but I think
I think
where the
feeling-
city
the
is,
feeling
yeah,
of
is
North Side,
once
yeah.
you go
Yeah.
Olsen Memorial, north of Olsen Memorial Highway.
Yeah. And-
I don't know roads.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
sorry, we're getting into something
No,
really
no,
deep,
like, no,
like,
like, yeah, we
I,
don't
I,
need that.
yeah.
I actually feel like how you feel, Cam, that I miss, like I had a really good memory in Northside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my
Yeah.
upbringing there was really good. Like I have like just really great memories, having a lot of friends.
Oh, yeah.
That's like I still am friends with those people
Yeah. Yeah.
that I grew up with, like in the projects,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I'm still in contact with them nowadays. I just had really good memories.
Yeah.
So yes, like there's all these, unrest stuff that does happen
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that was me.
Yeah, because even as a kid, I remember walking to the Cub Food on
Yep.
Broadway.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I've never experienced anything bad. And even that gas station next to, I think, Merwin Liquor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
where it's supposed to be like a hot spot. I've always went in there and buy candy.
so
and,
crazy.
Oh man, I
Yeah.
don't know any
Okay,
of
we-
these.
yeah, we're getting
okay,
into the weeds.
so do you know
Yeah.
Glenwood Funeral used to be city food?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
That was the main grocery.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember I used
That was
to go there
yeah.
to buy those rocks that popped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I
man,
love
dude.
those.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
you remember, like as a kid, like you would just walk around so much, and you didn't realize.
Yep.
I guess like I don't know, like because at the age you're not really thinking about that, but I just think about like because it was like middle school to like a part of high school, like I just walked everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and then like when I remember coming back from college, and I was like, oh yeah, that was probably not safe.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah.
You know, and you
Yeah.
drive through those areas. Like, now you're kind of like, oh, that was.
Like we would, like
yeah.
I would not let my
Yeah.
kids
Yeah,
walk.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say Payne would
Yeah.
never let his daughters walk through
Yeah.
that.
Oh my God, the things we
Alone.
did. You know, the
Yeah.
things we did
Yeah.
back in the day. I remember. Okay, I remember. Look, I'm a naive kid. I was like freshman year in college. I was coming home, 2 a.m. and some lady was just had a bag, and she was just like, "Hey, can you give me a ride?" I was like, "Yeah, come on in." And then just like gave her a ride. I remember we went up to like she lived by like Olsen Middle School and stuff, so we went over there,
Yeah,
dropped her
yeah.
off. And then I
That's
just
it,
went,
that's
yeah, I just went up on my way. And I remember telling Barbara about it, and she was like, "That's crazy."
That's
Like
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
dangerous,
yeah, yeah.
right?
now
You're-
that we're older. It's like
Yeah.
that's how you.
But you know, I was
get
just like a 19,
Kidnapped.
like a
Yeah.
naive
Yeah.
19-year-old
Yeah.
kid, and you just kind of do all these things. and
Payne's
you don't even-
ancestors are like shouting at
Yeah,
him.
yeah. They're like,
like,
that's
protecting
your
him,
one
like,
girl.
what?
Yeah.
It's a,
You-
it's
you
a
get
moral
protected.
You
protective.
used it, yeah. Yeah. And so I guess like that's what I mean. Like where I'm lucky. Like I've ran into I've had really great interactions with different people of different races. So I don't really have like a crazy bad experience. And but I also acknowledge that it's different for other people. Like people
Yeah.
have
Yep.
so yeah. It's I don't know. How was your childhood, Danny?
I didn't grow up in
Cali girl.
North Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I did grow up hood adjacent.
Yeah, that's what they all say. Shit, that's a suburb. That's a hood adjacent suburb. Yeah, when
That's
people say yeah.
It was hood adjacent. It was still the hood. So my
Okay.
Merced folks know Beechwood. But it's
Okay.
like
It's like the equivalent of Northeast Minneapolis.
basically. Basically.
Yeah, it's like
but it's all
Okay.
where
Yeah, hipster
subsidized
area.
housing
Oh, okay,
is.
okay.
It's where
Sorry.
I mean it's still it was still nicer than the actual hood. That's the hood. I guess Merced is all the hood.
Yeah.
But there's
I heard it was a pretty rough place.
yeah, but there is a specific place, and my cousins they lived there, so we would go visit, and that's where the Hmong folks when they moved to Merced, that I don't know if you guys have ever been to Merced, but then where the housing is, right? And so that was on the other side of town. So we lived the other side. So we lived with
So where most of the Hmong people live,
Yeah.
you lived opposite.
yeah, so we
okay,
lived
okay.
Okay.
Wanda's like, huh?
Judging you. Wanda's like,
We definitely live with all the Hmong people.
yeah.
You live with all your Asian folks, right?
No, and that's the thing. Like, I grew up feeling so inferior to my Hmong friends because they did live in those communities. So they learned how to speak Hmong. They did all the Hmong things.
Yeah.
And I grew up around white people. Like, my neighbors, straight white. White, white, white. Right? And so it's like, oh, I didn't know how much of the Hmong thing I was missing. But I feel like we grew up privileged, but privileged with the ghetto mindset because my parents immigrated here. And I think, like you said, right? Lucky. My dad was actually a very hard worker. So he actually took the gardening a step above and went landscaping and turned it into a business. Right? So he's always been an entrepreneur, go-getter, and he's an orphan too. Right? So I think he has that motivation, that drive to do better. Right? And I think he always knew that he didn't want to be in that the areas where it was hard to get out of. He knew that if I had a chance to go get anywhere and bring my family anywhere, it can't be in this place, right?
Yeah.
So he knew he had to do something differently. And I think it worked out amazingly, right? Because we were still raised culturally Hmong, because I'm Hmong as hell. I garden, my grandma.
Yeah, you knew that one thing that she was talking about that I didn't even know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I started going to Hmong events, and I remember they were talking about funerals and all that my whole life. So I was very exposed to Hmong culture, right? It's just we weren't raised in it, but then seeing my cousins, my families live over there. I never thought it was ghetto.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, why can't we move here?
Typical suburb kid, like just romanticizing the hood. And we're joking, but like it is something like you should be proud of because your father worked really hard, put you guys in a position. I think that's something we're all trying to do now, you know, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. And it's we're joking, joking about it now.
Exactly.
But
I know
we're
I'm very
jealous of you.
privileged. And I know I come from a place of privilege, but then again, it's my dad was an immigrant, right?
Yeah.
So people ask, "Oh, was your dad born here and stuff?" Sometimes, and I'm like, "No, actually, my dad came here when he was 18. He spoke no lick of English, went to no high school, no college, right? No formal training of anything of any sorts." And I think that's what I learned from him, right? If you want to do it, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And so, growing up, I was still raised with strict Asian or Hmong parents, right? We still got those ass whoopings. I got 6 siblings. There's 6 kids.
Yeah.
Typical Hmong family,
Yep.
right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so we had Hmong neighbors nearby, like in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
just not concentrated the way
Right.
that
Yeah.
we're used to or that we've seen
Yeah.
before.
You remind me of friends I used to have that would come to the projects to play with us because they knew all the Hmong kids were there. And they're like, okay, we're coming to the park. And they ride their bikes from like 6 blocks away. And then they're like, let's play.
Yes. I was always so envious of the kids that got to live with each other and just, you know, go to each other's house and eat the food. I remember my parents would never let my white neighbors, well, not never, but then they were like, stop bringing in the white kids, right? Don't bring the white kids over. But when we go to the Hmong people's houses, what? How come you don't even know that kid and they're in here? Your mom doesn't even know their name. And I'm just like,
eating my food, touching my toys.
that's weird.
Yeah.
So I desperately wanted to live there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so
That's
cool.
good
And
to know.
it's always like this, like, you know, there's always like good and bad, you know. I think us, like, I don't know, like, you romanticize what life would have been there, and I think sometimes at times we romanticize what life would have been out there, and but you got to make the best of your situation, and like I said, I think we got very lucky. Oh shoot, I thought of something like a North Side thing that I was gonna bring up, but it's like totally just like escaping my mind. But hopefully maybe I'll think of it. But yeah, like as a kid, like walking around everywhere. I remember like my first job was at Leonton in Golden Valley. Sorry, we're getting back to the
No,
Minneapolis
let's
talk.
do it. I love it.
And like, I didn't
That's a
have a
good
ride, so I just
Yeah, that's the
walked
good
there.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I just
okay.
walked. Like I just
So would you walk Ocean Highway all the way?
because that was when I was on. I was by Henry, so I was on 40th and Girard, and so I would walk all the way up to the Parkway, and then I walked the Parkway up to like I think is it what is that where Tom and them live?
Golden Valley.
Yeah, Golden Valley
Road,
Yep.
or
And then you go up there, and then you go under 100, and then I just knew if I just walked in that general direction, I would find
Leonton.
Highway 55, and then Leonton would be, then I just follow it up over there.
Wow.
But it was, I don't know, it was just a crazy time because dude, like you'd walk,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Dude,
man.
I remember like I used to like basically live on my bike because
Yeah.
'cause I would
So when it got stolen,
yeah,
it was rough.
before it got stolen, so that kind of sucked. Because I was naive too. I left my bike at school like an idiot and came back from a soccer game, gone.
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
You talked about it in the last episode.
Yeah.
And then that's one of the days where I had to walk home, and I was just walking home. And it was almost like nighttime, and I'm just chilling, like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I used to bike everywhere without even thinking. I used to bike on Penn all the way from like Upton and Penn all the way to school.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be like the more busier neighborhood too.
Yeah.
So I mean, as a kids, dude, we never really thought about anything. Really.
But I did always know to walk on the busiest streets, like on Fremont, because and then where the bus routes and where the busier roads are, you just see more people. What was that factor that like allowed us to like get out of that situation? I would say like my mom like being sick. She had multiple sclerosis, so she had she was on a wheelchair. She had multiple sclerosis, and so she needed help in and out the bed, in and out the toilet. So the family collectively, like we worked together to like take care of her. So my middle school years were like when all of my older siblings were in college. My brother was in the Navy. People were like, moving in and out the house. And so, but I always knew that I had to come home to take her to the bathroom one more time, push her in and out the bed. And I would say that was like a core thing for me because I was like, then I always knew too, like, because she was like a bigger, heavier set lady. So then like, I knew I had to be strong. And that's where I had this kind of obsession of like, hey, I need to get stronger so I can lift her in and out the bed and stuff like that. And so, but I always knew no matter how late I was out, I had to make sure I came home to like get her situated. Yeah. And so
you have responsibilities.
Yeah. And so I think that
responsibility.
made a big difference because, I guess you could say that's also when, a lot of bad decisions were made. And so but I was, by that time I was like home already. So it'd be like 7, 8 o'clock or something. But I would say that was like super important. Sorry, I did just had to write an article for the thing, and then so I had to like think about this a lot, and so I was like, what were these things, and what role my mother played in it, and I was just like, oh yeah, I guess that like definitely changed the trajectory of my life, like if I didn't have that. So I don't know.
I would agree with you that having responsibility at an earlier age, which is like not common, right? Like in like for like mainstream, it's not common to have tasks at a younger age. But I do feel like that really made me like a more stronger person, and then the responsibility that was tasked onto me made me mature quicker. Yeah. So then I skipped out on those activity that could have got me in trouble, right? Yeah. Because I had things I had to get done. Yeah.
And then one more question. I'm sorry. I know we're going long. One more question. Knowing what you know now, I think kind of going back to your brother's situation. Yeah. Knowing what you know now, how would you have handled your brother's situation differently, or would you have?
That's so tough, right? Because as like for myself, right? I think I would have handled it differently, knowing what I know now, right? Knowing like the statistic of schizophrenia, how long does it take them to do better after medication therapy and all that? Then I think if I understood it, maybe I would have like slowed down on things that were in my personal life. Like maybe I would have stopped going to college and took care of the situation and help support him and be an advocate for him. Because my parents didn't speak English. So how could they have known, right?
Yeah.
And like, I also had like loved ones who didn't believe that he had an illness, but like he's lying, he's fine, right?
He just wants to use drugs.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
like he's not even on anything, right? He's on just the medication, but he's lying. Look at him, he looks fine. He's just lazy,
Yeah.
you know, like just
Yeah.
like because he's not
Blaming him.
Yeah, like he's not
Yeah.
showering because he's on the medication. It's making him drowsy, or he's, you know, going through stuff. And it's like, if I had understood like the severity of it, maybe I would have made some slight changes in my personal life so I accommodate him, right? But I think that that's really hard for like just individuals like who are like maybe the firstborn or the person in the family that have been chosen, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes you always hear like you're the chosen one.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do really believe that like sometimes you're the chosen one to make the changes in your family
Yeah.
that, or like your family's been waiting for you to
That's a good take. I love
Yeah.
that.
to become the person that's gonna create the ripple effect of change and like in a positive way.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
it's
I
kind of
love
like
that.
what we could consider breaking generational curses.
Yeah, yeah, yep. That's people say it that way too. And like if you've always known like maybe you're slightly different, or you know, like I don't know why I don't fit in, you know, like
Yeah,
this is my
yeah,
family.
yeah.
like was I adopted? Like those are indicators that you're here to make changes for your family for the better, you know?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I wonder if I am.
Yeah.
No,
so,
no, I'm just thinking
so
that.
for all
Yeah, no, I'm joking,
all
I'm
our
joking.
black sheeps,
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there's hope, right? Because I think
Great.
a big part of family dynamics and the black sheep of the family dynamic is that being the black sheep, you feel so alone that you do fall into these things, right? So you do use substances to cope. You do wonder what's wrong with me. Why am I so different, right? So maybe you're different because there's a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do want folks to know that like if they're in recovery, that there's nothing wrong. That may be their journey to like be like a generational curse breaker, or they have to go through that because there's something else at the other end that's gonna be more meaningful. They're gonna teach maybe their experience is gonna be a roadmap for someone else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate again coming out so much. You guys have anything else?
No, Wanda, is there anything we
yes.
didn't ask you that we should have asked you during this
Yeah.
episode, or
Or anything
anything
we wanna
about
go over?
BAM? Yeah.
I mean, I think we touched base a lot.
Let's talk about the bread.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So well,
yeah.
this is also. I think this is also
Completely
really
forgot.
fun. Yeah. Like, how do you okay? So like, how do you access funding?
Yeah.
And then what are you guys doing to raise funds? Because this is probably expensive, right? You're talking about a garden. You're
Yeah.
doing all these programs. I'm pretty sure you're providing like snacks and stuff for
Yeah.
them. Transportation, like
Yeah.
how are you handling that?
Yeah,
like
how do you afford all of
that
it?
is
Yeah.
crazy.
So I want to give a big shout out to Easy Ride.
Okay.
They've been a great support. They're Hmong owned, and
Okay.
they offer free rides for our participant, and that's been so helpful.
Yeah.
To get participant to come to group, because a lot of times they don't have a ride, but you know we always try to stay close to the bus line. And we've been, just working off on in-kind donations.
Yeah.
So on our website, we do have like a donation button.
Yeah.
That'd be great if you could donate, or your
Okay.
organization's thinking about just collaborating. I know I've had a restaurant give us food for one of our sessions. We are experimenting with banana bread, and this recipe has been a hitter. And so if you find our booth when we do like outreach, we'll
Okay.
be selling banana bread or fruit trays, and that's how we fundraise for our support group currently.
The banana bread is great.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
It's
Yeah.
actually
I'm gonna
really
finish
good.
that.
Yeah, I finished
Wanda.
mine really quickly
Yeah.
too.
I have
Yeah.
no plate to show because I finished mine.
I was sitting there trying to savor. I'm like, and it just kept going.
It's really good
Yeah.
because it's moist and it's not
Yeah.
too sweet. I feel
Yeah.
like, you know, you can
Perfect.
actually taste the banana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
thank
It's
you.
not just bread.
It's really
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just been working with partners who have their cottage license, and they've been able to like support us and just getting like baked goods out to sell. And our women's group had done agro fundraiser. So if you ever see those, come out and support us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And please let us know when you do, and
Yeah.
we're gonna start following
We'll
you
share.
so then we can continue to kind of share that with our audience too.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working on rebuilding our audience, but hopefully as we grow, we can continue to funnel people your way,
Yeah.
whether it be volunteers or even if people have like potential collaborations or partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
I know I already want to connect with you and
Yeah.
make some things for both No Eggs and the farm. And
absolutely.
it's so funny because I always say we always have the best discussions right before we start the pod,
Yeah.
and that's exactly you should have seen them they were
It was
hitting it
great.
off.
Oh
me and
my
Cam were
goodness.
just kind of looking at each other
It
what's
was great.
yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh, we
I
couldn't
knew
stop.
y'all would hit it
Yeah,
off too,
no,
man.
this
I'm
was so wonderful having
Yeah.
you here. I
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
have so many questions for you, but I don't want to take up too much of your time.
yeah.
Okay.
But also,
Wanda's I got time.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Girl, let's go, let's
also,
go.
how can our audience find you or BAM?
Perfect. Yeah. So our website is www.bamn.org. And then you can find us on Facebook. Follow us on Bridge and Grass Mountain /BAM. And also, we have our number and our contact. My email's on there. Feel free to always reach out. And once you call, you will get someone to return your call. Or if you email, you will get someone to return your call. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And we can also add it into the description.
Yeah,
right?
well,
We
yeah,
can-
Yeah, we'll
we'll
add it
do
for
all that
sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
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 Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
I mean,
no, you all really are. You make me sound like a saint.
I'm like, I feel I'm on your show. I'm just listening. I'm just
We just
learning.
listen.
I'm
Thank
just
you for
learning. I'm like,
No, don't say that. I think a lot of us are learning as we go, and I
Yeah.
think Pink, you did touch base on that. It's a journey for me too. I'm learning how my community is responding to these things, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to find solutions, right, and ways to connect. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because I'm
Yeah.
I'm in that same exact boat, and we're just
You're
figuring
doing-
it out.
Yeah.
And it's great that we do belong to this community that is very supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
You're doing great work. Your organization is doing great work. It's much needed.
you.
You're definitely filling a gap and building a bridge.
Thank you. I
really
love Bridge
are.
and Cross
Yeah.
Mountain.
You really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
Very
needed.
fits really well with the gardening.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna for sure do something. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna leave
Please.
everything on, but
Yeah.
let's.
Come on out.
Yeah,
Come on out to the
we'll have to
garden.
do
We'll do
something.
another session.
Please, that'd be
Yeah.
so
And
fun.
then now we gotta get your brother out too, because I
Yeah.
think it would have been really cool to if he came. I'm like,
I
I'm
know he's
little upset he
he's a
didn't
whole
come.
different vibration. I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you,
I
he's
think
way
that-
more energetic
Yeah.
than me.
'Cause-
So are you looking for therapists as well, or
Yeah, we're always so we can't pay you, but
Yeah.
you want to come out and just
absolutely?
run session.
No, do I have to
Um,
do notes?
No.
Oh, wait, perfect. Then I'll do it.
No, it's a
My
community
thing,
based.
my thing is, if you don't pay me, as long as I don't have to do notes, I'm good.
No, it's
'Cause-
community based, and it's really a sign-in sheet.
Okay,
They just need to
perfect.
know who came.
Perfect.
And we're hoping to launch a virtual one, so you can
Okay.
attend the virtual sessions.
Look at that. No Eggs podcast. We're not just talking about mental health. We're doing the
doing
work,
mental health.
okay?
Yes.
We're doing the work, y'all.
Yeah,
Fuck outta
absolutely.
here.
I'm gonna
You know,
keep in
doing
contact
the
with you
work.
because do you know Yang Mi from Colorado, from Denver?
No.
Oh my God. Okay. Do you know the Hmong women lead group here or the
This
Hmong
is
women
what was
today?
happening earlier.
Yes, I know Hmong
Just
women
like-
today.
Yeah.
I'm part of I'm part of
Oh.
their
Sorry, Danny,
community
she was like-
online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Annie is actually my cousin.
Oh,
Annie Lee.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Small world.
I
know.
You have a lot of connection then.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So I have so many people to send your way to help support, to grow BAM, and because I believe in your mission so much, and
Oh,
it's
thank
so
you so
needed.
much.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like so many people think that Hmong people, we don't use substances like that, right?
Mhm.
So it's either just too much alcohol or that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, they get into so many other things that we don't know about.
Yeah.